Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Please take a seat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. Welcome to Napa Valley College. Thank you for your time and your interest in this Workforce Policy Summit. My name is Doug Marriott. I get to serve as the Senior Dean of Career Education, Workforce Development, and Social Sciences here at Napa Valley College. We're grateful for the interest, for your presence, and hopefully your partnership. As information is shared this afternoon, we also have a panel. We're going to learn about collective potential next steps to respond to the data that's shared to better serve Napa County. Our president and superintendent, Dr. Torrance Powell, has charged the campus with being student-centered, equity-focused, and community-minded. This event came about from those principles. As the City of Napa Economic Development Department, I think Neil rode his bike here. Good job, Neil. I don't know where. And Brendan's here too. Convene civic and industry partners, including chambers, the SBDC, and more, to help align and leverage efforts. At the same time, a group of educational partners have been convening about career training throughout the educational pipeline to better align with industry needs and build career pathways for students to advance and serve in Napa County. Many members of the Napa County Industry and Education Collaborative are here today, and I thank them too for their partnership. As the data will show, there are great opportunities for greater alignment and working together. Napa Valley College is a community college, and we're here to serve our community of students as well as nonprofit and industry partners to help those that we serve and those that we get to educate and train advance and succeed. We have over 20 career training programs aligned with industry need and are expanding this number based on labor market projection and community need. Although there is a great deal to do and dots to connect, I do want to share that there's also great work happening here in multiple areas that we will continue to build on. Notably, we have dramatically increased our amount of credit-based career training classes at our area high schools. I thank our partners and Christine Tapia from Napa Valley College for this work to connect with students while they are in high school to take courses that include business. I believe Claudette Chateau is here, the Educator of the Year in Napa County. Thank you, Claudette. And culinary programs and other career training programs that start in high school. We are aligning short-term employability and 21st century skills classes with our partners at the adult school, nonprofits and workforce partners. I thank Chantel Ridgel from Napa Valley College for this work. We have secured funding to continue and expand short-term training in transportation, distribution, and logistics that leads to both employment and apprenticeship programs with Bay Area partners. I thank Leticia Naranjo for this work. Today, this same day, April 18th, we have over 100 employer partners in our library plaza from 3 to 7 p.m. to share employment opportunities. Sherry Tennyson put that together with Whitney from the Yountville Chamber, and I thank all of our partners on the career fair. I think that's an example of partnership and working together and outreach into community. I also want to mention Jessica Thomason. She's the executive director of our foundation. She helped generate and bring in over a $10 million donation that's going to help with the Wine Education Training Center for our viticulture and winery technology program. At the end of today's event, we're going to be serving wine that was created by our students in our viticulture and winery technology program. There's more to cite, but I, like you, am here to listen, so I should shut up soon. I often share that education, in my view, all education is workforce development, because as we learn and grow new skills, we are better prepared to serve others with humanity, understanding, and openness. Dr. Powell serves with these qualities and models the campus commitment to student success, equity, and community, and it's a pleasure to welcome him to the stage now.
A little shorter, so pull it down. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It is my extreme joy and privilege to be able to welcome you here today to this convening, to our discussion. I'm not going to speak too long because I do have the privilege of both welcoming you and serving on the panel. But there are a few things that I want to highlight just in my welcome today. When Dr. Marriott approached me about this event several months ago, I got really excited. And the reason I got excited is because I've been in the California Community College system for about 13 years. I came in 2010, and the very first job that I had the joy, the privilege of working within the field of workforce economic development. I worked on a grant-funded project that was funded by some ARA funds from President Obama to do clean green energy. And ever since then, every job that I've had the privilege of holding within the California Community College system has had a strong career education, work readiness component to it, right? And so this is really something that is a passion of mine. It is something that's so important to our system, right? Because out of the three systems of public higher education, the UC, the CSU, and the California Community College system, we are the system that was designated within the California Ed Master Plan to create students, give them opportunity to be work ready immediately upon completion of an associate's degree, a certificate, or even a class or two, right? And that's something that, it's a core tenet. It's one of the three pillars of the California Community College system, the others being transfer and then, life skills or life improvement. So this is something that is a core tenet. It's one of the three foundational pieces of us as a system. And it really only works because of the partnerships and the relationships we have collectively with you all, right? This is incredibly challenging work, as you know, preparing students to be employed, to get out into the field and really improve, their lives, to be able to move on and achieve whatever career goals or ambitions they have is very challenging work because we have to service the entire person, right? We're not just here to deliver classes, deliver content and teach people concepts. We're here to help people build skills that are going to make them successful in life. And it is our extreme pleasure to have you as partners in this work that is of critical importance to the students that we serve, given that we do have such a diverse student population. The students that come to us come from a variety of backgrounds, variety of level of academic or professional preparation, a number of other things that are important to them beyond just going to class or even finding work, family issues. Many of them are first-generation Americans, let alone first-generation students. So having you as partners in this work to ensure that we are on mission critical, that we are connected with all of the resources and we're providing the best quality preparation for these students, we're training them for real work and real life skills, is very important. So it is my honor and privilege to be with you here today. Welcome, and I look forward to dialoguing with you in the forum. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I do not need to move this mic. It's perfect, right where it's at. I'm Bruce Wilson. I'm with the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay. And as many of you know, I work with you day in and day out. We're at many meetings. We're the Regional Workforce Development Board, not just for Napa, but we also cover Marin County, Lake County, and Mendocino County. And we're thrilled to be here today talking about skills, talking about workforce challenges, and more importantly, talking about some of the solutions to those challenges as we move through our agenda today. The Workforce Alliance is a government program. We receive federal and state funding to run several different programs that are designed to assist our business community remain productive, and also, and equally important, to assist our job seekers, our community members, achieve the skill sets they need to obtain a life of self-sufficiency. And that's what we're going to continue to do in each of our 4 counties. There are challenges to doing that, and we just need to be able to crystallize what those challenges are. Our board invests heavily not just in the programming, where we help our career seekers get the skill sets that they need. I was thrilled to hear Dr. Powell talking about the college being about building those skill sets. That's the foundational level that we have to get at, is the skill sets that are informed by employers. And so together with the college and several other programs, we believe that we're going to be able to make that leap and continue to close the workforce gap. I'd like to just take a moment to ask our Workforce Development Board members in the audience to stand up. I can't quite see it but if you could stand up and just be recognized. We have several Workforce Development Board members from public and private sector that meet on a regular basis to solve these challenges, and there they are right there. I'd like to give them a hand. We also, at the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay, we have a governing board, and the governing board really crystallizes that public and private partnership. Our governing board consists of 2 Board of Supervisor members from each of our member counties. And Joelle Gallagher was recently appointed to the governing board, and she'll be joining us right after the Board of Supervisors meetings completes. And also Alfredo Pedroza, who will be joining us at any point. We hope that they will be able to get here and contribute to this message. I want to talk a little bit about workforce development and what it is. It does seem like workforce development is a term that is kind of hard to get your head around. It typically politicians are the ones that use that term. But it is something that we should all care about. It's something that is a conversation about our schools, our businesses, and overall the strength of our community. And if we can continue to have that conversation, I think we can move the needle on significant partnerships that need to be had in order to help our community members, again, get those skill sets and help our businesses close that workforce gap. That's why we're here today, to continue the conversation and achieve clarity across a broad spectrum of partners and organizations. We have several of you in the room today. And to talk about what is at stake and how do we as a community begin closing the talent gap and challenges of our local industries. Today is about asking ourselves, what is our role as an organization as we try to solve the workforce development challenges? Again, think about your role. We have our state partners in the room here today. We have our city partners. We have our county partners, whether you're in housing or whether you're in social services. What is your role? What is your role as a Board of Supervisor member to help close those workforce gaps? And I hope that as we move forward into the agenda, we're going to be able to, you're going to be able to see that and answer those questions. Our private sector members, what is our role in closing that workforce gap? I would submit that we need a community-wide strategic framework in order to do that, where everybody contributes to it, where everybody leads in the areas that they specialize in, whether you're the community foundation, whether you're a First Five organization, everything goes into closing that workforce gap. If we do that and we agree that we need that community-wide framework, I think we're going to also land on 3 principles, which we'll hear more about today. We need to coordinate and collaborate across organizations. We need to, secondly, follow the lead of our employers and our industries. They need to be able to communicate what the skill sets are that our training providers need to coach to. And finally, we need to focus on skills. Skills are the common language that brings together job seekers, employers, and educators for mutual benefit. If we can arm people with skills, they are going to be able to get into improve their economic conditions and reach self-sufficiency. But we need to work together. With that, I am going to transition to our main event and welcome Susan to the stage. Susan Cohn is a practitioner with 30 plus years of experience working at the intersection of economic and workforce development. Prior to joining Lightcast in 2023, Susan served as the Vice President for the Milwaukee Regional Economic Partnership and the Metropolitan Milwaukee Association of Commerce, so both the economic and workforce development side. There, she worked to improve the capabilities of employers to attract, retain, and develop talent to fuel growth in Wisconsin. She designed initiatives to connect employers to workforce resources and build a long-term sustainable talent pipeline in collaboration with K through 12 and higher education. We have to build the talent pipeline. Susan has successfully cultivated strategic partnerships between employers, industry associations, and education workforce that make up their talent supply chain in order to foster skills attainment aligned to industry needs, labor force attachment, business growth, and economic mobility of citizens. A guiding principle of Susan's career is that we move faster and have greater impact if we collaborate. I'm just going to underscore that one more time. A guiding principle of Susan's career is that we move faster and have greater impact if we collaborate across organizations, across geography, and across sectors of the economy. Collaboration, partnership, ultimately leads to organizational programming and investment that is going to make the difference as we move forward. Susan earned a bachelor's degree from Marquette University and a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin. She's a proud Midwesterner, and being from the Midwest myself, I'm happy to welcome her to the stage, Susan Cohn. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce, and the Workforce Alliance for bringing in Lightcast and inviting us to be part of this exciting community effort. The Workforce Alliance is a Lightcast customer for some time, utilizing our subscription-based labor market data and our thought leadership research to provide you with insights and prioritize local resources for the most impact for job seekers, employers, and industry. And I'm the envy of my colleagues today. It snowed on the day that I left yesterday in Wisconsin. So I'm the envy of all my colleagues today in beautiful Napa. So thank you for having me here. This is some of the thought leadership. Lightcast publishes cutting-edge research like the reports pictured above to help our clients make sense of the global and national trends and how they may play out locally. We offer custom consulting services to really dig into the dynamics of a region or an industry and make strategic recommendations based on a number of factors. So the Workforce Alliance and Bruce contracted with us to provide a snapshot for you today, looking at several high-level questions. What are the economic engines in Napa County and the North Bay region? How does your workforce capacity align to the needs of local industry? Do you have the people now or in the future that you will need? And maybe more importantly, does your workforce have the right skills to fuel economic growth? And the timing of this by the Workforce Alliance is really important, as regions are prioritizing investments to address challenges that were put in motion by the COVID-19 pandemic or accelerated by the pandemic. We tried to help you make sense of how national, even global trends might be playing out locally and how you can unlock emerging opportunities or mitigate challenges with collaborative cross-sector efforts. So a comprehensive talent alignment strategy focuses on the now, what you can do now, what you can do in the near term, and then what you should lay the groundwork for or plant seeds for in the future, in the far. And this involves a comprehensive strategy around matching your current workforce with job openings today, reducing the friction in the marketplace, attracting and retaining skilled talent in the region, addressing the unique barriers to labor force participation for different target populations in your area, providing visible on-ramps and bridges to high-quality career pathways, leveraging and improving the responsiveness of short-term training and workforce development funds to target key skills gaps, aligning post-secondary certificate and degree programs with industry needs, back mapping industry needs into K-16 education, and then building the awareness always of high potential career pathways for those that are currently in the pipeline in education or in career transition and needing that coaching to take the next step. So it seems obvious that the best strategy is built when your conversations are grounded in real data and a deep understanding of the dynamics that underpin your local labor market. In other words, who are you? Only then can you set specific and measurable goals because you benchmark where you're starting from and you understand the trend lines that you're working with or against. In order to be really good stewards of your public resources, it's important not to go after anything and everything. The point of a data-driven approach is to hone your attraction and retention efforts into a targeted and realistic strategy. So your goal should be alignment, a balance between workforce demand and supply with synergies that allow demand and supply to grow in tandem. Not only does this allow key employers and industry to thrive, it provides pathways and growth opportunities for people by minimizing the effects of disruptions like a major employer leaving town or going out of business. If you have good alignment, people will have durable and transferable skills and a cluster of employers with similar needs that you've elicited through your work with industry partnerships. Even though I've heard we just need warm bodies a lot in my career, importing thousands of people at random wouldn't be the silver bullet, even if that were possible. So how do you go about knowing what makes your region tick? First of all, get to know your key industries and your employers. And this is part of what Bruce and the Workforce Alliance commissioned when they contracted with Lightcast to do this workforce snapshot. Really a deep dive into which industries have the highest concentration of employment in Napa County, which are growing fastest, what is the workforce composition of those industries, which employers are growing, what are the top posted jobs, and what skills are in the highest demand. Also, another thing to consider is what jobs are susceptible to automation. How might the skills clusters within those jobs change and evolve over time? It's really important to know as educators and workforce trainers. We know that here we want to get at, we know employers in your region need talent, but there are growth industries that offer high quality jobs that should be nurtured from both an economic and workforce development perspective. Not to say you play favorites, but there are better benefits to investing in those high growth and high mobility industries. And those key employers are looking for specific types of talent, with specific skill sets. That's what you want to target, those high value skill sets that also pay off for your citizens with higher wages and mobility opportunities. It's also important to really understand your demographics. Who lives and works in your region? How diverse is your population? What % have post-secondary credentials or degrees, and what programs are they in? What's the median income? What's the cost of living? Will the workforce age population grow or decline in the next several years? And labor force participation, which is the new unemployment rate in terms of a barometer of the health or dynamics of a labor market. And it's important to look at this information in context. For example, is there a downward or upward trend that should be noted? Does this year's number go against that trend? Does your information buck a state or national trend? How do your numbers compare to the national average or the average in California or neighboring counties? Know your workforce pipeline. What is the current talent supply for key roles? Are there skills gaps? Are there equity gaps? Who is underemployed or on the sidelines in your community? What is the potential for upskilling, reskilling? Some of the questions around who's in the current talent pipeline and in those high demand programs, and do the numbers of completions match up to the forecasted demand in your key industries? In our report, we suggested a collaborative partnership framework that will help you advance a regional workforce strategy based on this thorough understanding of your region's unique needs and assets. A community workforce strategy requires diverse stakeholders like all of you gathered in the room to coordinate and collaborate across organizations. Does this sound familiar? I think Bruce just said these very points. Follow the lead of employers who are the end users of your talent supply chain. That's what I call the education and training system, the talent pipeline, if you will. To employers, that's their supply chain of talent. And it doesn't suit them any longer to sit at the end of the supply chain and say, oh, that wasn't what I needed. They need to get engaged earlier, as they would if they had an issue with a real supply chain vendor. Focusing on skills, again, the common language that brings together job seekers, employers, and educators. As occupations are so rapidly evolving, the occupation title is becoming less and less relevant. What really matters are what the skill clusters that make up those occupations. So when you're looking at growth, I think it's more important to look at what skills are growing versus what occupation titles are growing in your region. That will ultimately lead to people getting jobs and be more successful in those jobs. And remember, this is not just the workforce development system doing all this alone in a silo. A talent attraction strategy is successful only when it involves all spheres of your community. This means your business leaders, their recruiters. It means the educators and career counselors that help guide people in their career pathways. If you're all working from the same playbook, that means talent at all stages in the pipeline is hearing the same messages about the opportunities in your market and the skills that they should seek for long-term success. So let's get into it. In our report, which I think will be available at the end of the day for public use, we looked at Napa County's key industries, the occupations and skills in demand, real-time job demand as reflected in job postings data, the opportunity to build mobility with digital skills, and how Napa's workforce capacity aligns to industry needs. Okay, so this table provides information about the top 10 industries in Napa by the number of jobs offered locally. The first column is jobs today. The next three columns forecast out whether there is expected growth or decline in employment for that industry. Also important to consider from an economic and workforce perspective is the average wage and the location quotient, which is a metric that shows the concentration of an industry in a region or its relative importance to the local economy and the job market. Napa County has incredibly high location quotients in beverage manufacturing, surprise, surprise, accommodation, which is hotels, and support activities for agriculture, which is essentially contracted services that support farming, that would be planting, harvesting, logistics, storage, etc. I want to note that local government and state government include much more than what we traditionally think of as government services. They include K-12 public education, some protective services, police and fire, etc. State government can also include public colleges and universities and some state healthcare systems. So those categories, you see the employment numbers are really high. That doesn't mean everyone is working at the county building. They are spread out, but they are on the public workforce payroll. So I want to take a little dive into winemaking, which I have to tell you, I have never seen a location quotient that high in my entire career. 75.22. We think a 2.5 location quotient is pretty extraordinary at Lake Cast, and we call them out. Honestly, I've never seen it. It's extremely exciting or interesting, and 3% growth projected through 2027. So in some cases, as I was thinking about this, the 75.22 might have set off alarm bells for me, because it would say, oh my gosh, this region is over leveraged or they've got too many eggs in one basket, and what happens if something goes wrong? And then, the whole ship sinks, right? If it goes south, you've got a crater-sized hole to fill in your economy. But in this case, the industry's staffing pattern is very interesting, and I think this next slide shows the industry in Napa provides a real breadth of opportunity that buffers against shifts in certain verticals within the industry, if that makes sense. So you can see here that winemaking offers jobs across a very broad spectrum of functions, education and skills requirements, and salary ranges. Several of the top jobs have really high average earnings, and better yet, they can be accessed in many cases with just experience and not necessarily a degree. One thing I'd call out in that example is sales representatives and general and operations managers. Quite often that's just, you grow into that position and don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree or master's degree. So the opportunity is amazing and provides a fertile ground for industry leaders and workforce development partners to build high mobility career pathways across these different occupation subsectors. For example, production, sales and marketing, business and financial operations, administrative support, etc. You could build a lot of horizontal lattices across, in lateral advancement across these different functions. And demand for these higher wage professional roles is expected to grow by 2028. Sales representatives, general operations managers, and first-line supervisors of production. So I hope you can see how this industry, while yes, you may be over-leveraged, yes, there may be some risk to having such a high percentage of your economy concentrated in this, but it provides a really interesting and fertile opportunity to create a whole universe of jobs and skills and career pathway development, which I'm sure we can unpack in the panel a little bit later. So I wanted to just go back a couple slides. Oops, can I go backwards? Oh yeah. And pointing out that, sort of in contrast to that, in food services and drinking places and in accommodation, which are number 2 and 4 in terms of job volume in Napa, don't really have the same opportunities that I just referenced in winemaking. A lot of the jobs, a high percentage of the jobs, I think only 2 in food and drinking places are wages over $30 an hour and offer advancement potential. So there's a high volume of jobs. You see really interesting growth, 19% growth expected by 2028 in food service, and 23% growth expected in accommodation. But without the career pathway and the launch pad jobs, if you will, there may be some concerns going forward about the ability to fill those roles. And to be noted, those wages, we haven't talked yet about the cost of living here, but I'm sure you're all aware that the cost of living in Napa County and in really the North Bay area in general is much higher than the national average. So when you look at, we use a tool at Lightcast called the MIT Living Wage Calculator, and most of the roles in food services and accommodation, the wages do not meet up with the lowest bar for the MIT living wage. For a single adult with no children, for example, that's $21.62 an hour, or $44,970 annually. And according to research that I mentioned in the report, retail and hospitality employees are raising concerns about their long-term financial wellness and are looking for increased support from employers. This is because wage increases seen during and after COVID haven't kept pace with inflation, and persistent staff shortages have reduced the ability of employers to offer flexibility and predictable scheduling, all of which makes for a disengaged employee and someone that, if they have options, could go elsewhere. So with so many choices, it's going to be even more difficult to staff up and retain hospitality employees unless employers can keep pace with compensation in adjacent industries and address workplace policies that offer that flexibility and affect employee engagement. Okay, so top occupations. Oh gosh, did I get mixed up here? Okay, so this is similar as it was to industries. Top 10 occupations by volume in Napa County. The first column is 2022 jobs today, and then we look out to 2028, look for growth or decline. We also have a location quotient for occupations, and we have a metric called the automation index. which is the risk of a job being displaced as tasks are automated. Automation indexes are above 100. The 100 is average, and anything above 100 is bad. Indicates that these jobs have an above average risk of being displaced as tasks are automated. And you see a bunch of those above 100, or above 1. It is 100. I'm looking at the LQ. You see several that are above 100 there, notably the top one, farm workers. 8 of the top 10 occupations earn median wages below $40,000, which falls below $30,000 when adjusted for cost of living. Registered nurses and general and operations managers command the highest wages. That's why they have the blue stars next to them. Okay, real-time job postings. So what is that? I'm all mixed up. So at Lakecast, we supplement traditional survey-based labor market information sources with proprietary real-time job postings data. In other words, we scrape thousands and thousands of job boards every day to glean intelligence on demand for occupations, skills, and levels of education within any selected geography, or we can do it by industry or by company, you name it. And the forward-looking nature of job postings data is helpful to get at the most current and emerging labor market trends, which you really need if you are working to align education and training to really fast-moving industry needs. While the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics information is wonderful to have, they're backwards looking, and you're basing your investments and your priorities on the extrapolation of previous trends. And I think real-time job postings data, there are some hiccups occasionally. It's not perfect science, but it gives you a much more timely and relevant picture to work with as you're aligning those needs. So Napa County had a total of 27,000 plus unique job postings during 2022. Monthly postings are between 2,000, almost 3,000, and about ending the year with 1,700 in December. So there's been a lot of motion on that trend line. Healthcare and staffing for hotels and resorts appear to be the most urgent needs, reflecting 7 of the top 10 companies posting for jobs. The second table shows the top employers using Lakecast's profile data, where we scrape resumes and online profiles on LinkedIn or other sources to see where people are employed, what roles they're in, and what skills they have. So this gives you a nice snapshot of what's in demand. These are the skills then that those employers are posting the most frequently for in our job postings database. So no surprise with your location quotient in restaurants and food service and accommodation. You see restaurant operations, merchandising, marketing, accounting, nursing, housekeeping, auditing, selling, warehousing, and food safety and sanitation. So there was, as work from home and remote work became the forefront of conversation during the COVID-19 pandemic, I know there was a lot of talk in communities outside major metropolitan tech hubs about whether there would be tech sector dispersion, whether if you could work from anywhere, does that mean that tech workers will move to anywhere to work, or can we grow our tech sector by offering a value proposition for remote workers to live here, to move here, and then maybe take a job with a local employer? And Lakecast published a report that I know Bruce and the Workforce Alliance had read and wanted to know more information about. And it was called Rural's Rise, and it looked at that there is this trend that happened where the number of postings went up in areas surrounding rural areas surrounding major metropolitan tech hubs, and then the number of postings went down in those major tech hubs. And that data did bear out. Oh shoot, there's a draft. Oh, there. San Francisco County saw a 13% decrease in the number of job postings. This isn't just tech postings, this is all postings. And Napa County saw a 56% increase during that same